Well, hey, happy Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys have got off to a good start here, launching on our big idea here dealing with Israel. So, this is my Tuesday teaching moment, kind of dealing with a conflict known as the 6 Day War. Yeah, the 6 Day War. So, that's what I'm going to teach on a little bit today. Um, Obviously, I think this war and what I'm going to talk about will make sense if you had an opportunity to kind of go through the reading maybe ahead of time. And if you haven't gone through the reading yet on TCI and maybe started working on your living document, it might be a good idea to do that before this video because I think this video will kind of supplement and kind of fit in and will make sense to some things that are on your living document or questions for your living document. So hopefully this video will make sense and kind of fill some gaps. Obviously it's a lot of material to cover here, and it's obviously an area of the world that is very complicated, and so it's one of those things where it's hard to understand everything that's going on, and so we're just going to try to focus on some of the bigger issues, and hopefully we kind of learn from that. So again, the 6 Day War, and here we go. So here's what you have. Israel, I guess you could say, happy birthday to Israel. Israel, I guess you could say, the country was recognized with borders following World War II. Here in the first map, about 1947. Obviously the Holocaust. And the 6 million Jews that were killed, the diaspora, how the Jews had to scatter and flee. Kind of created the momentum for the creation of a Jewish state. As you can see in this first map right here, complicated borders. They're very jagged. So what you see, kind of like in the light green, that's going to be Israel, the land for the Jews, and in the area in purple, or not purple, orange. Holy cow! Where my glasses. In orange is the area of land for the Arabs. So you can see the borders are not like clearly defined. Not like if you take about if you think the United States and you think of like Kansas and Nebraska. I mean, those are like cookie cutter borders. So it's really kind of easy to say, hey, here's the border of Kansas. Hey, here's the border of Nebraska. So you can see in that first map of Israel, you're going to have some complicated borders. And you're also going to be dealing with some of the land, who got better deal on the land. If the land is arable, which means you can farm. Do you have access to water, which we know is always important? So the borders here are very jagged. And of course, that we're going to lead to some issues. In your living document, you had to talk about the 1947, 1948 war. This is one of the first wars Israel fought in. I think they were attacked by 5 different countries at the same time, and how Israel, again, came out victorious. I think there was a question that kind of dealt with your Schoolcraft IQ. I think you guys were probably able to answer it, but one of the reasons why Israel was able to kind of repel, that invasion in 1948 is because the United States has been from the very beginning one of their staunch allies. We necessarily did not put boots on the ground in 1948, but we have continued to supply Israel with fighter planes, with tanks and weapons and technology and an intel. So the United States, being an ally of Israel, has been very influential. At the same time, the Israelis have a tough tenacity to fight. Again, they're fighting to defend their home turf. They're fighting to defend their homeland. And so a lot of times, how hard you're willing to fight is really based on what are you fighting for. And so Israel here, fighting for its right to exist, its homeland. The Israeli Defense Force, they fight with toughness and tenacity. And so what we're going to talk about today is that third map that kind of deals with the 1967 Six-Day War. So here we go. In the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel is attacked by 3 countries. Egypt, as you can see over here, Jordan over here, and then Syria kind of coming in, from the north. And so what you have right here is a terminology that we've kind of mentioned before, whether it's been World War I or World War II. We talked about a 2-front war, and kind of here with Israel, they are now have to fight a three-front war, as they have, being attacked on 3 different sides from 3 different countries. So again, Israel here has to divide up its resources, its troops, its supplies, and but again, being somewhat funded by the United States. Israel kind of has the state of the art technology. So when it came to the tank warfare of like the Sinai Peninsula, which is this chunk of land right here that today belongs to Egypt, Israel had maybe the best tanks. They had good intel, good strategy. When it comes to the Air Force, Israel today has one of the most elite air forces. And so their pilots are trained, and again, a lot of these planes come from the United States, which great in technology. And so the 6 Day War, Israel was able to repel the invasion from three different countries, again, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. At the same time, they're going to be able to do a land grab. There's that old saying again, to the victor, yeah, goes the spoils. And so Israel was able to occupy more land, following this 1967 um, war. And so Israel's borders, kind of like if you can think back to what we did with Germany, how Germany's had changing borders throughout, its history, Israel kind of the same thing. Um, so the last map is kind of dealing with Israel's borders today. And so Israel here, as you can see, kind of outlined in white, that's its borders today. Areas in green are back under Arab control. The area here that I kind of been circling with my mouse, this is that area known as the West Bank. And this is the area of land that Israel got from Jordan. And up here, there was an area of land called the Golan Heights that Israel got from Syria. Eventually, through a peace deal, Israel will give back the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt, so that area of land, is now basically under control of Egypt. But here in the West Bank, what's happening is Israel continues to build settlements here in the West Bank, and so really this area of green keeps getting smaller and smaller year after year, decade after decade. And one of your questions kind of dealt with Israel building walls, to try to keep the flow of people coming into Israel very limited. And so a lot of these areas in green are kind of surrounded with walls, kind of like the Berlin Wall. These are walls that are pretty high, barbed wire, sniper posts, and stuff like that. That area in green there in the West Bank. So really, the big idea again here on the 6 Day War is that Israel, with a staunch ally of the United States, was able to repel, an invasion and an attack, acquire more land, and of course, as they acquire more land, obviously that continues to lead to resentment between the Palestinians and also the Israelis. And so that's the 6 Day War. Israel's able to defeat three countries at the same time, acquire some more land, and obviously that changes Israel's borders. So um, from this video, kind of dealing with a little bit of an internet research. Um, Add this to your living document. You can just probably title it 6 Day War in your living document, but list the war casualties from this war from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Israel. Find a video link. I think there's some good videos out there that you could possibly watch, and some of them are pretty short. I know there's some sites out there that kind of talk about some key issues in history in under 3 minutes, which is better than what Mr. Flynn can do. So copy and paste a video link of the 6 Day War to your living document, and to make learning more meaningful, go ahead and research some facts about the Israeli Defense Force and the IDF, and maybe the training and the recruiting that Israel does with its IDF. So that might be some good information that you can take a look at there. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up Tuesday teaching. Um, and I hope you guys have any questions. Let me know. But I think for the most part, I think you guys got it pretty good. And this is Mr. Flynn signing off. As soon as I move my picture away, there we go.